Detective Conan is a show that has a lot of murders in it, and some of them can range from pretty brutal to no way that actually killed you. But as interesting as the methods are, I want to talk about the motives for the murders because they range from no actual way you caught a body over that to murder's crazy, but mm, yeah. But before we get into that, for those who don't know, Detective Conan revolves around a protagonist, Kudo Shinichi, a high school detective who fucked around and promptly found out. Now shrunken into a child, Conan solves mysteries and tries to find a way to get back to his adult body. He's typically joined in his adventures by his girlfriend Ron, her father Mori, the detective voice, and the police. Now that we're all hopefully on the same page, let's get into the case. Our case is The Blue Spark of Hate, and it has to be one of my favorite murder methods in the show, like by far. The episodes open up with Conan and the detective boys stranded on a highway after the car ran out of gas. In classic Conan fashion, there's no phone reception or really any other option to get help, so they really just have to wait for a car to pass by them, and eventually one does. A guy pulls up after they flag him down and they explain the situation, to which the man responds with, "Wait here until you die, you old goat," as he laughs and drives off to his nearby mansion. None of our protagonists took too kindly to that, but they're stranded, so, it's either go ask him for help again at his nearby mansion or perish, like he said. So, they were planning to, go up there, but an explosion goes off at that mansion and a piece of the man's car falls right beside them, which is a crazy coincidence. We're gonna ignore it. So, of course, Conan's nosy ass runs up there to see what's going on, and there's a huge fire in the garage. It's messy. The fiance of the man that just told him to die is like screaming. She's like, "No, no!" And like someone's like holding her back, and it's just like, it's very dramatic, very messy. So after the police had gotten there, it's explained that apparently there had been some gasoline in the air, which was from a knocked over can in the garage, and they assumed that he was smoking, and the smoke, the sparks from the cigarette set off the gasoline, which, triggered the explosion and killed him. But as they're giving the explanation, the fiance yells that he couldn't have been smoking because he quit smoking for her. And she says that she told him on the phone in front of everybody that if he smokes again, the engagement is off. And the other guests are backing her up, like, yeah, that actually happened. I talked to him too. Yeah, that did happen. So the police are like, but we found like a pack of cigarettes. Like we see cigarettes in the ashtray, and we saw like a pack on him with like a lighter. So I don't know. But then Conan actually brings up an amazing point of, if he was smoking when he got out of the car, where's the open cigarette pack? Which, very solid point. Very solid point. So he then goes on to reason like this could have been a murder, like the culprit could have just planted a cigarette beforehand and had spilled, the gasoline all over the garage to make it look like an accidental death. But then to that, the police are like, yeah, but like there's no like detonator that we could really like find anywhere, so we can't really be too sure on that one. It could still be an accidental death. And as Conan and the cops are discussing how there's no container for the supposed cigarette that the victim was smoking, the fiance interrupts and says that he had a habit of crumpling and tossing his cigarette packs after he used the last one. So she was like, oh, maybe it was the last one, and if he was trying to hide this fact that he was smoking from me, he probably just threw it somewhere, driving up here. And Conan, ooh, he was out of pocket for this one. He was crazy for this one. He walked up to her. He's like, do you really think he quit smoking? Because like, if you found out that he was smoking, you really could have just tipped over the gasoline and killed him. Like, that's all you would have to do. And everyone there reasonably is like, yo, what the fuck? but the fiance is like, but if I told him that our engagement would be off if he continued smoking, why would I expect him to be smoking when he got to the mansion? That just doesn't make sense. And yeah, that doesn't. That's a pretty fair point. Pretty good defense on her part. But this actually cemented in Conan's brain, like, nah, she killed him. Since at first she was adamant that her fiance had quit smoking, but then switched up to make an objection to Conan's point about there not being a container by saying that he crumples them up and throws them away, which those inconsistencies in his speech made her way too suspicious, and that's where the first episode of this ends. The next episode opens by presenting a lot of information, like the fact that everyone at the party was together playing a game. At the time that the man blew up, no one was gone, everyone was there. They had a dog that apparently tipped over the gasoline, and this had happened multiple times before at parties, like weeks before. I guess like they had parties like weekly. The couple had fights at said previous parties because the man didn't drive the car that the fiance wanted him to, and then the next week he didn't wear the sweater that she had bought for him. The fiance wanted the man to drive a classic car, which she was known to not be a fan of, and she also wanted him to wear the wool sweater she had bought for him. The detective boys are eventually kicked off the crime scene. You know, the investigation's over, but they're talking outside their now filled up car, and Conan has an epiphany and figures out what the detonator was. So, back at the mansion, the police are asking the fiance to come with them since the gasoline falling over multiple times is just way too much of a, big point to, ignore, because, that's really sus as fuck. So, they're taking her in to ask her some questions about it. And the fiance agrees, but she says, I don't want to go in a patrol car because I don't want to feel like a suspect. I just, if I'm going to go there, I don't want to ride in a patrol car. Which, okay. Conan's actually like, hey, we were the last one to see the victim before he died, so we're actually going there for questioning too, so you can ride with us. And the lady, very smartly, was like, no, I don't wanna, I'll just drive myself. It's okay, I'll drive my own car. But then Conan baits her with a piece of the man's car that he found earlier. And she takes the bait, she goes in. And after they get in the car, Conan sends a quick email and shows the fiance the car emblem that broke off. He starts to question why she had him drive his classic car, which again she's known to hate, and have him wear a wool sweater that apparently the man hated, which Conan points out that Hybra was also coincidentally wearing a wool sweater. Very important. She gives short answers to the questions, just like, I wanted him to wear it because, I just kind of felt like it, or I just, kind of started liking the classic cars. Just very short, whatever questions. But then the professor says that the car's running out of gas again, and with nowhere else to go, they say they have to stop at the professor's house since he has a spare can of gasoline in his garage. They get there, and the professor trips and spills the gasoline all over the garage floor, to which Conan points out that this is almost exactly like the fire that just happened. The fiance, getting a little bit visibly nervous, is like, yeah, it's crazy, wow. And the professor's like, oh no, I'm soaked with gasoline. Hybra, can you get me a towel from the trunk of my car? And he's like, yeah, you can just open it with the key in the car. And the fiance is getting more and more nervous as Hybra's walking up, getting the keys to open the trunk. And right before she puts it into the keyhole, she screams to not put the keys in this trunk, saying that static electricity will cause a spark. And right after that, the garage door opens, and the police are all outside, and they're like, yeah, we caught you. Then Conan goes on a whole spiel. He's like, yeah, you were planning to do this for weeks, actually, and that's why you were mad that, the fiance did all these different things that fucked up your plan, blah, blah, blah. And, she was like, yeah, he really doesn't have that much experience with static electricity since he doesn't wear wool shit, so he really wasn't ready for it, which he wasn't, clearly. The fiance reveals her motivation for killing him, and wow, yeah, because her father had heart problems and was having a heart attack on the side of the road. Then the victim, he drives by, gets flagged down, the same thing that happened at the start of the episode, and of course tells them to die and drives off. And the mother is shook, she's shook by this, because now her husband has died because this man who could have helped them just decided not to. So the husband dies, then the mother apparently goes into shock. It's just she's bedridden, then she dies shortly after. But she left a note saying that the man who left them basically for dead had that emblem. So that's how the fiance found the man that she killed. And yeah, after that, the fiance turns to Conan and is like, that was kind of reckless. You set this whole thing up, but if I didn't say nothing, we would have been dead. And Conan was like, oh, no, never that. Never that. He said, yeah, that email I sent out earlier, yeah, I got them to replace the contents of the gas can. Yeah, that was water. Also, there's not even a keyhole in this car. And I don't know about y'all, I would throw up. If I got played that hard, ooh, I throw up, ooh. So, anyways, that's the end of the episode, The rest really has nothing to do with the case. It's just a cute little scene. As I watched the episode back to write the script, I really came to appreciate how well this story was set up, because sometimes Conan will just come out the gate swinging with knowledge that he got from who fucking knows where. But watching it back, the observations and the discoveries made actually flowed really nicely, with the open cigarette pack, because you don't have to be like a super genius to really figure that out, but you do have to be really observant. And I feel like it grounds it kind of, but also it makes it show like how good of a detective he is that he caught something like that. I don't know, it just really helped with the story. It makes it flow a lot better. Yeah, and when he had the epiphany, it felt like a smoother transition based off of like what was happening in the story, because it was also set up like previously where he got his epiphany to how the detonator was set off because Hybera, trying to avoid touching things because she had a lot of static electricity on her. And instead of, like some vague line, which the show tends to do, it was an actual like real world example that kind of reminded him of it. And I felt like that really helped the case flow a lot better because it didn't feel like he just like figured some shit out like randomly on the fly. Or not even on the fly, just honestly randomly. It felt like the situation that they were in actually set up, like it builds upon itself to like solve the mystery, I guess. Oh yeah. And aside from like the case and like the episodes like being really well structured, I really like this one. I have to say the murder method was just really fucking sick because realistically, like she almost committed the perfect crime because if she kept her mouth shut, like if she did not say anything in that car, there would be no solid evidence against her. Like that's the only way they could have like caught her. Like if she just did not say anything, I think she would have been fine. Like and of course we're speaking like within like the logic of the Conan universe and the Conan legal system, because basically if you don't have like complete solid like foolproof evidence, they're good, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, like to be fair, this crime was basically undetectable. Like if she didn't say shit, it wouldn't like she would have been completely fine. And that's one of the cause it's one of the only ones in the series like that. Like she had the complete like full control to just say like nah, I didn't do shit. And they would have no evidence. They would have zero evidence. Not only could she have easily gotten away with it, but like the murder method itself, with the detonator being like the tiny little spark from when you put the key in like a keyhole, that was just so fucking cool because like it feels like something that you could read in like a science fact book, like just like a little random thing, but she used that to blow a man fucking sky high. And like sure, maybe it was murder, but like it was a well executed plan. And I mean, yeah, I really fucks with those, and she gave me just that. But yeah, that's the Blue Spark of Hate. And actually, even though this is one of my favorite cases, I did not know the name of it until I started writing the script. Like so serious, I had no idea. And what was this, like episode 500 something? I'm on 900. Yeah, I know this name for a hot minute. But anyways, yeah, that's it. Go watch Conan or something. I don't know.